Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण. So we will be starting this new chapter, 14th chapter. Just so this is the three modes of material nature. Text 1. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Param Bhuyah Pravakshami Jnananam Jnanamuttamam Yajñatva Munayah Sarve Param Siddhim Ito Gataha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Again I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection." So here, more deeper knowledge is being mentioned here. So the knowledge aspect, as we saw, the confidential knowledge is the this knowledge about the body and soul, and then a little more confidential knowledge is the knowledge about the super soul, and like even more confidential knowledge is knowledge about the Supreme Lord as Bhagavan. Right? So in this way, like let's see the first sloka of this one. Like we'll see the uh, translation is that the Supreme Personality of God said, "Again, I shall declare to you the supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge." So he's telling it's going to be the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained um, the supreme perfection. Okay, purport. From the seventh chapter to the end of 12th chapter, Sri Krishna in detail reveals the absolute truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now the Lord Himself is further enlightening Arjuna. If one understands this chapter through the process of philosophical speculation, he will come to an understanding of devotional service. In the 13th chapter, it was clearly explained that by humbly developing knowledge, one may possibly be freed from material entanglement. It has also been explained that it is due to association with modes of nature that the living entity is entangled in the material world. Now, in this chapter, the Supreme Personality explains what those modes of nature are, how they act, and how they bind, and how they give liberation. The knowledge explained in this chapter is proclaimed by the Supreme Lord to be superior to the knowledge given so far in other chapters. By understanding this knowledge, various great sages attained perfection and transferred to the spiritual world. The Lord now explains the same knowledge in a better way. This knowledge is far, far superior to all other processes of knowledge thus far explained, and knowing this, many attain perfection. Thus, it is expected that one who understands this 14th chapter will attain perfection. So, here we see that one important aspect of the knowledge is that we see um, whatever we are attached to, the antidote is there in Krishna consciousness for that. So by we had kind of studied that Janma Karma Chame Divyam Yevam Yo Veti Tattvataha, right? So by understanding the birth and activities of the Lord, so we can get freed from the contamination of our birth and activities. Our activities cause karma and it creates bondage. But if we try to understand the Lord's activities, our karma will get shattered. It's like that's the antidote. And in this way, like here we see that the we are bound by the modes of nature. By understanding how the modes of nature are functioning, so we will get released from the modes of nature. So this is also, another kind of an antidote. And here it is mentioned, it is a knowledge that is far, far superior to all other processes of knowledge thus far explained. So this is not talking about bhakti, it's talking about knowledge or the jnana, right? So that is why it is considered to be a, like this. This is not superior to bhakti. What is being mentioned here in this chapter is not superior to bhakti, but it is a better form of knowledge, better form of jnana. Okay. Text 2. Idam jnanam upashritya mama sa sadharmyamagataha sargepi nopajayante pralaye na yatanti cha. By becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature like my own. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation or disturbed at the time of dissolution. Purport. After acquiring perfect transcendental knowledge, one acquires qualitative equality with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, becoming free from the repetition of birth and death. So, like, what is the special quality of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? He is beyond the modes of nature. And by understanding the modes of nature, chapter of modes of nature, we will also go beyond the modes of nature, and we will get a body, which is resembling the Lord, which in quality. One does not, however, lose his identity as an individual soul. It is understood from Vedic literature that the liberated souls who have reached the transcendental planets of the spiritual sky always look to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, being engaged in transcendental loving service. So, even after liberation, the devotees do not lose their individual identities. Generally, in the material world, whatever knowledge we get is contaminated by the three modes of material nature. Knowledge which is not contaminated by three modes of nature is called transcendental knowledge. So, transcendental, this word is a very important thing. So, transcendental is in Sanskrit, generally, it is mentioned as divyam, or something divine. So, what is divine? Divine means which is more beyond the modes of nature, and the ultimate. This one, how do we say it is beyond modes of nature? Which knowledge can be said as beyond modes of nature, which has connection to Krishna. So, if there is no connection to Krishna, if Krishna is hidden or Krishna is not to be known through a particular knowledge, so then it is called no a knowledge in three modes of nature. So three modes of nature means Maya. Maya means where I am not able to see Krishna. So that is Maya. So if I am able to see Krishna and Krishna's touch is there, so then it becomes immediately Divyam. No, it is transcendental. So there is no presence of three modes of nature there. Okay. As soon as one is situated in that transcendental knowledge, he is on the same platform as the Supreme Person. Those who have no knowledge of the spiritual sky hold that after being freed from material activities of the material form, this spiritual identity becomes formless, sorry, without any variegatedness. However, just as there is material variegatedness in this world, in the spiritual world there is also variegatedness. Those in ignorance of this think that spiritual existence is opposed to material variety. So this is one of the things the Mayavadis do, is that no, like this matter is completely opposite to spirit. So that means the spirit is eternal and matter is temporary, and then like spirit is completely independent, matter like material life means completely bound. So like that, so many comparisons we have, right? So then they extend the comparison saying in the material world so much of variety is there, so in spiritual world there should not be any variety. Everything is one, no nirakar and nirvisesh and things like that. So we cannot just extrapolate like that. So we have to see that there are some natural differences are there, and there can be some similarities also, right? So there is variety in the spiritual existence also. Okay, let's read. But actually, in the spiritual sky, one attains a spiritual form. There are spiritual activities, and the spiritual situation is called devotional life. That atmosphere is said to be uncontaminated, and there one is equal in quality with the Supreme Lord. That means the Lord has a spiritual body, and we also will have a spiritual body. So equal in quality, right? And then one must develop all spiritual qualities. Oh, okay. To obtain such knowledge, one must develop all spiritual qualities. One who thus develops the spiritual qualities is not affected either by the creation or by the destruction of the material world. Right? So, creation and destruction is a material activity. Creation means mode of passion, destruction means mode of ignorance. And if somebody is situated beyond the modes, somebody is situated in higher modes or beyond the modes in a transcendental stage, in a state of divyam, so then they will not be affected by creation and destruction of the material world because they are beyond the modes of material nature. Right? Okay, text 3. Mama Yonir Mahat Brahma. Wherever we get this Mahat Brahma, we should immediately understand this is the material world, or the material nature is called as Mahat Brahma. So Mahat means the great. So the great means the material creation is called Mahat. No, so that's how the material creation is called. And Mahat Brahma, Brahma means Lord. You know, so or Brahma means soul or Lord or something like that. So why it is called as Mahat Brahma? So it is material nature is not Brahma, but because it has connection with Krishna, no, it is like, for example, this nail is there. It is a dead matter, but the nail is, because it is in connection with the body, even the nail is taken care of. You know, we take care of the nails. But if the nails fall away from the body, we will not, right? So the matter is also in connection with Krishna. That's how the matter is able to do so many things. Otherwise, what's the use of matter? Like, no, the matter is also in connection with Krishna. That's why the matter is called as Mahat Brahma, right? Mama Yonir Mahat Brahma. Yoni means like, no, it's like begetting children, like that. So, okay, Tasmin Garbham Dadamyaham Sambhavah Sarvabhutanam Tato Bhavati Bharata. So he is telling that Sambhavaha means the cause, or no, like they come into being, Sarvabhutanam. How? Because no, I have kept into the Garbham. I have kept in the womb of the Mahat Brahma, or the material nature. Inside the material nature, I have kept the living entities inside the material nature. That's how they are able to come out. No, Sambhavaha Sarva Bhutanam. No, every living entity is there because I have kept them in the womb of the material nature, and they are functioning. Right? Total material substance called Brahman is the source of birth, and it is that Brahman that I impregnate, making possible the birth of all living beings, O son of Bharata. Purport. This is an explanation of this world. Everything that takes place is due to the combination of Kshetra and Kshetrajna, the body and the spirit soul. This combination of material nature and the living entity is made possible by the Supreme God Himself. So this is a very nice this one. So in the last this chapter, we saw that Kshetra and Kshetrajna. So the Kshetra is the material body, and the Kshetrajna, or the knower of the body, is the soul. And this is one kind of a knowledge. Yeah, the soul is there, and the body is there, and then the soul desires, and the super soul executes, and things like that. But how did the soul first of all came into that position in combination with the matter? So here the Lord is telling, I have put the soul into the material nature. So no, I have placed into the garbha of the material nature, and that's how they are coming. Right? Okay. So this combination of material nature and the living entity is made possible by the Supreme God Himself. The Mahat Tattva is the total cause of total cosmic manifestation. And that total substance of material cause, in which there are three modes of nature, is sometimes called Brahman. So this we saw that, it's like how a matter can be called as Brahman. Brahman means soul, spirit, and here matter is called as Brahman. So why? Because it is like has its connection with the Supreme Lord. Hmm? So the Supreme Personality impregnates the total substance, and thus innumerable universes becomes possible. This total material substance, the Mahatattva, is described as Brahman in Vedic literatures. In Mundaka Upanishad, no, tasmad etad Brahma nama rupam Annam chachayate. That supreme person impregnates that Brahman with the seed of the living entities, right? So in this way, like this is how, and aham bija pradapita also, like Krishna mentions in somewhere else in Bhagavad Gita. So in this way, like Lord, no, clearly it is the Lord who impregnates the living entities in the material world. So in that way, like he is the original father of all the living entities, and the material nature is the mother. In the womb of the material nature we are placed. So sometimes people ask that, how can we do devotional service? We have so many things are there. We have nation is there to take care. We have society is there to take care. We have so many people are there, friends, relatives, parents. So many duties are there. So, like, no, why should we include another duty, no devotional service to the Lord? So, we should understand this is our primary duty because this is the first relationship that we have. No, He is our real Father, and no, we have to see that we have to serve Him. Okay. Uh, the 24 elements, beginning from earth, water, fire, air, and all the material energy, and they constitute what is called Mahat Brahma or the great Brahman, the material nature. 24 elements, five Panchabhutas, and then five. So, anybody can respond here? Like, what are the 24 elements? What are the 24 elements
Hare
of material?
Krishna. Hare
Yes.
Krishna. Karma Indriya 5 and Jnanendriya 5, Panchabhuta 5, Tanmatras, Mahatattva, soul, super soul, then mind, intelligence, false ego.
Okay. So this, like, first is five Panchamaha Bhuta, and then five Jnanendriyas. Jnanendriyas means the senses with which we can acquire knowledge. So that is the eyes, we can see and perceive, we can acquire knowledge. The nose, we can get to know the smell, and the tongue, we can get to know the taste, and ears, we can get to know the sound, and then touch, we can get to know the texture. So in this way, like these are all jnana indriyas. So to acquire knowledge, these senses are used. And then karma indriyas are, like speech is one of the karma that we are doing. So speech, and then hands, legs, anus and rectum, and things like that. So these are all like we have the karma indriyas. So the senses that functions, that does some work, right? So in this way, like we have this karma indriya, jnana indriya, and tanmatra means this counterparts of the, or the counterparts of the this one, jnanendriyas. So for eyes, vision is a sense object. Sense object in Sanskrit is called as tanmatra or vishaya, like that. So like this no vastu, like what we can see, like that is one tanmatra, vision. And then for ears it is sound, for nose it is smell, for tongue it is taste, and for the skin it is touch, right? So like this, we have the tanmatras. So Panchabhuta, Jnanendriya, Karmendriya, and Tanmatra, 20 ho gaya. Like, it's all 5, 5, 5. And then mind, intelligence, and false ego, that is there. That is like, 23. And then sum total of all the energy, that is in the, like in the Moola form. So that is called as the Mahatattva. Sometimes it is counted as 24. And sometimes the living entity and the super soul may be counted as 24, 25, like that it may happen. But in general, when it is talked about material, this one, it is, it talks about the Mahatattva itself as counted as the 24th element. So in that way it takes. So here we see that uh, this is called the Mahat Brahman or great Brahman, the material nature. So Mahat Brahman means the material nature. As explained in the seventh chapter, beyond this, there is another superior nature, the living entity. So beyond all these material elements, there is another superior nature, that is the living entity. Into material nature, the superior nature is mixed by the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore all living entities are born in this material nature. Okay, the scorpion example. This is an amazing example. Prabhupada nicely explains this. Let's understand this concept. The scorpion lays its eggs in piles of rice, and sometimes it is said that the scorpion is born out of rice. No, but the rice is not the cause of scorpion. Actually, the eggs were laid by the mother, right? Similarly, material nature is not the cause of birth of living entities. The seed is given by the supreme personality of Godhead, and they only seem to come out as the products of material nature, right? So just like scorpion comes out of rice, in the same way we come out of the material nature. You know, we are born of some mother, and like sometimes we see that earthworms are generated from the ground and things like that, and sometimes some living entities come out of the material elements, and it doesn't mean that they are products of material nature. No, they are like what is that? They are the living entities put into the material nature in a different ways. They are coming out, according to their karma and things like that. So material nature is never the cause. Material nature is just the place where the Lord has impregnated the living entities. Okay. Thus, every living entity, according to his past activities, has a different body created by this material nature so that the entity can enjoy or suffer according to his past deeds. The Lord is the cause of all manifestation of living entities in this material world. So, Sarva Karana Karanam. The Lord is the cause of all the living entities. Okay. Text 4. Sarvayoneshu kaunteya murtayah sambhavanti yah tasham brahma mahatyonir aham bija pradapita. So the Lord is telling it should be understood that all species of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed giving father. No, Krishna is like, it's not about Paramatma. The Lord is telling, no, I'm managing and things like that. He's like, here he's telling about the Bhagavan aspect. No, I am the seed giving father of all the living entities. No, a personal relationship with the Lord is established in this, right? So if there is, why bhakti to the Lord? Because we are personally related to him, right? So we are his children, and the Lord clearly claims that he is the seed giving father of all living entities. Purport. In this verse, it is clearly explained that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the original father of all living entities. The living entities are combinations of the material nature and spiritual nature. Such living entities are seen not only on this planet, but on every planet, even on the highest where Brahma is situated. Everywhere there are living entities. Within the earth, there are living entities. Even within water and within fire, there are living entities are there. All these appearances are due to the mother material nature and Krishna's seed giving process. The purport is that the material world is impregnated with the living entities who come out in various forms at the time of creation according to their past deeds. Okay, text 5. Satvam rajastama iti guna prakriti sambhavaha nibandanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avyayam. Okay. Material nature consists of three modes: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, he become conditioned by these modes. So the living entity, the moment he is put inside the material nature, so then like he becomes conditioned by the three modes, right? So why does he come to this no position at all? So a slight desire to enjoy separate from Krishna, right? So still now he is not separate from Krishna, a desire to enjoy separate from Krishna. No, somehow or other it comes, and then the Krishna acknowledges that and he puts us in the material nature. So because separate from Krishna, how will you be separate from Krishna? Like because if you are always conscious of him, so then like no, the living entity is put into the material nature, and the material nature makes him forget the Lord. And once the material nature makes him forget, so now what is the way to get back? No, he has got into a whirlpool of no end, and he cannot come out of it on his own. The Lord has to help. So but then the Lord is bound by the promise that okay, I will allow you to enjoy separate from me. So now it's like you know what do they call, like it's a deadlock scenario, where the Lord is the only person who can save, and he cannot save because he is bound by the promise that he will allow you to enjoy separate from him, you know. So then the Lord has another wonderful this one, that's devotees. So the devotees come into this world and they go to the living entities and say, hey, no, you forgot. no, like Lord is our real father and we should get back there, right? So they come and they tell. And then when the living entity says, yes, no, I have forgotten my Lord and I have to like surrender back to him. So then the Lord starts helping, no? So till the time the Lord doesn't help the living entity to get back. Lord is always there with the living entity, but he doesn't help. So, but he sends the devotees. So, and because the devotees take so much of trouble to come to the living entity and convince, so the Lord no feels very, very much obliged. No, that is why the Lord says in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita that no, there is no one more dear to me than one who no gives this knowledge to others. Right. So because it's something which is very close to the Lord and he cannot do it. No, and that the devotee is coming and doing. So then it becomes very, very like the Lord becomes very, very much pleased with such kind of a service. Okay, so the material nature consists of three modes of nature. When the living entity comes in contact, he immediately becomes conditioned by these three modes. Purport. The living entity, because he is transcendental, has nothing to do with this material nature. Still, because he has become conditioned by the material nature, material world, he is acting under the spell of the three modes of nature. Because living entities have different kinds of bodies in terms of different aspects of nature, they're induced to act according to that nature. This is the cause of varieties of happiness and distress. So, in one sense, like, no, we cannot hate anyone saying that, oh, this guy is a very, very bad person. So, here we see that why he is a bad person, because he's conditioned by the three modes of nature in that way. He has to act in that way because that is the way, like, he is associated with the material modes of nature. And by the association of modes of nature, he has developed a particular kind of a, this one, like, kind of a character, and he's helpless. He has to act in that way only. So until unless he is purified or he gets association of some other modes of nature, then he may transform. Or if he gets association of devotees, and then he is fortunate enough to accept that association, so then these modes of nature slowly start getting dissolved. No, and if he applies to the process properly, no, that is like if we are able to hear the holy name properly, if we are able to absorb ourselves in the glories of the Lord, in the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and things like that, so by this absorption, by the power of absorption, the modes of nature gets destroyed. It's also like very important, like just because we took this topic. So what is the difference between just chanting and chanting with absorption? What is the difference between just reading and reading with involvement and like with absorption? Absorption means like it's like if you have a ice, if more temperature is applied, more faster the ice will get melted, right? Or if you want to boil something in the stove, so you have to put a good flame, then only it will boil, right? So in the same way, like if we want to like dissolve this modes of nature, then intensity of Krishna consciousness also matters. If somebody is like no having Krishna consciousness just like this, no, very, very halka touch, no, in a very they're just there in Krishna consciousness, but they're not very serious, or they're not very deep in their Krishna consciousness, not very absorbed. Even for years and years, they can be there and no transformation will happen, right? But then if they go very deeper and they're properly praying to the Lord and appealing to the Lord that, no, I want to get out of this situation. So then the Lord acts actually, no? It's like, if somebody says, Lord, like, no, if you like, you remove the modes of nature. No, otherwise, like, anyway, I'll keep doing something. The Lord is not very much interested. It's He's like we have to agree upon, then only we'll be able to get that, get free from the modes of nature. Okay, text 6. Tatra sattvam nirmalatvat prakasham anamayam sukha sangena badnati jnana sangena chanaga. O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating and it frees one from all sinful reactions. Those situated in that mode becomes conditioned by a sense of happiness and knowledge. So this is the conditioning that happens in the mode of goodness. So wherein a person starts thinking, oh, this material world is so happy, nice. No, I am so good, and people are good with me, and everything is going good. No, I'm doing some service, and people are actually appreciating me. And or even if people are not appreciating, I have a sense of happiness that I'm doing a lot of things for these people in the material world and things like that. generally philanthropy and things like that and all. A sense of happiness is there, and they don't have the impetus to go back to the spiritual world. And the danger is in the material world, karanam guna sanghasya. So now you have somehow developed mode of goodness. You don't want anything in return. You just simply want to serve to people and things like that. But the problem is in the material world, there is mode of passion is also there and mode of ignorance is also there. When will I come in touch with those modes? And when all my goodness will go, I don't know. It is a danger. No, the place is in danger. So, like, for some time, a person in mode of goodness, because everything is so nice for him because of his service attitude and because of his good nature and things like that. Now, even though if other people are also like harmful to him, he's able to tolerate and he's able to be in positive this one all the time. And like this positivity is very nice, but where is the hankering to get out of this material world? That is lost. When that is lost, then no, it becomes a problem, right? So in that way, like we see that this mode of goodness is also a bondage to the material nature. Purport: the living entities conditioned by the material nature are of various types. One is happy, another is very active, and another is helpless. All these types of psychological manifestations are causes of the entity's conditioned status in the nature. How they are differently conditioned is explained in this section of Bhagavad Gita. The mode of goodness is first considered. The effect of developing the mode of goodness is in the material world is that one become wiser than the other than those otherwise conditioned. A man in mode of goodness is not so much affected by material miseries, and he has a sense of advancement in material knowledge. The representative type is the Brahmana, who is supposed to be situated in the mode of goodness. The sense of happiness is due to understanding that in the mode of goodness, one is more or less free from sinful reactions. Actually, in Vedic literature, it is said that the mode of goodness means greater knowledge and a greater sense of happiness, right? So we see that if imagine that like you are very very closer in mode of goodness, you are very closer to the Lord. So how you are very closer to the Lord? So less sin is that thing which actually clouds our vision. Sin or lust or like no, these things are the ones like which actually clouds our vision. If more sinful reactions are there, if more lust is there, what happens? Our vision becomes completely densely dark, and then we are in ignorance. And then when we come to passion, this one, the denseness of the like material lust is like a little bit reduced, and then some no like vague images are visible, right? So that is like no in the mode of passion, and like he's able to see something in this world and he's able to work very hard and things like that. And in mode of goodness, it is like almost this sinful reactions are almost destroyed. It's there still, a little bit more is there, so it's almost destroyed, and a good amount of clarity comes. He's able to see things in perspective, and he gets a very very good amount of clarity, and more clarity, more happiness, more knowledge. So knowledge means like he's able to see things in perspective, and very less sin is there, very less lust is there, and because of that, there is like it's almost like a blurred mirror. You can see that something on the other side is there, some form is there and things like that. Like that kind of purity has come in the mode of goodness, right? So but the problem is because of their higher knowledge and because of their higher sense of awareness and things like that, they experience of a higher level of happiness. And like if there is a comparison that is there, you put what is that, if somebody is like suffering very much, saying that I am so poor and things like that, you put another poor person next to him, more poorer than him, he'll see that, okay, like no, at least I'm better than him. So he'll be a little bit more satisfied actually. At least I'm better than him. Right? So if the comparison is on the higher side, so then I want to advance, I want to get to that stage. The problem is in the mode of goodness, that's the best that a person can acquire in the material nature. And then in comparison with all others, he's much, much better than other people. He feels that, okay, like, no, I have attained it all. I have come to the pinnacle, and he becomes satisfied. And, the impetus to get out of the material world, he loses. Hmm? So difficulty here is that when a living entity is situated in the mode of goodness, he becomes conditioned to feel that he is advanced in knowledge and is better than others. In this way, he becomes conditioned. The best example are the scientists and philosophers. Each is very proud of his knowledge, and because they generally improve their living conditions, they feel a sort of material happiness. This sense of advanced happiness in conditioned life makes them bound by the mode of goodness of material nature. As such, they are attracted towards working in the mode of goodness, and as long as they have an intention for working in that way, they have to take some type of body in the material nature. Thus, there is no likelihood of liberation or of being transferred to the spiritual world. Repeatedly, one may become a philosopher, a scientist, or a poet, and repeatedly become entangled in the same disadvantages of birth and death. But due to the illusion of material energy, one thinks that that sort of life is pleasant. Hmm? So, and this is one side of the story. Like, they may repeatedly be in the mode of goodness, but what if they come in touch with mode of passion or ignorance? Then they have to fall, from their position. So, text 7. रजो रागात्मकं विद्धि तृष्णा संग समुद्भवं तन्निबध्नाति कौन्तेय कर्म संगेन देहिनम्. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longing, O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive actions. Hmm? So this is like a lot of desire and lot of longing. I want to get this, and no, like I want to have such a big bungalow, and I have to work very hard for getting this, and this I have to do, that I have to do. Like, no, they have so much of plans and so much of longing. Like, no, I have to do this, I have to do this. Karke. So this is like mode of passion. Like, okay, purport. The mode of passion is characterized by the attraction between man and women. Women has attraction for man and man has attraction for women. This is called the mode of passion. And when the mode of passion is increased, one develops the hankering for material enjoyment. He wants to enjoy sense gratification. For sense gratification, a man in mode of passion wants some honor in the society or in the nation, or he wants to have a happy family with a nice children, wife, and house. These are the products of the mode of passion. As long as one is hankering after these things, he has to work very hard. Therefore, it is clearly stated here that he becomes associated with the fruits of his activities and thus becomes bound by such activities. In order to please his wife, children, and society, and to keep up his prestige, one has to work. Therefore, the whole material world is more or less in mode of passion. No? Madhye Tishtanti Rajasa, like, the material world or the Bhulokas in the central part of the 14 planetary system, right? So that's why this more of Rajagun, people of Rajagun are there in this world. And the passion is like, everyone is working so hard, right? And the whole world is marching towards so much of scientific advancement, economic development, and things like that. It's all about passion. It's all about passion. You just like we can see outside how many tall raised buildings are there. It's all mode of passion, like everybody's like just getting into this mode of passion. Okay. Modern civilization is considered to be advanced in the standard of mode of passion. Formerly, the advanced condition was considered to be in mode of goodness. If somebody says that, oh, I don't want to like waste my life, working so hard. I want to contemplate why I have come into this world. I want to progress in spiritual life and things like that. People say like you have gone mad. You should work hard and you should do something. And you should like get more money. You should do something. You see like whole world how it is doing. You see your friends what they are doing and things like that. Right. So that's more of passion. And in the Vedic times, if somebody says that I want to contemplate on the source of my life and I want to search out the source of my life and I want to like surrender to God and things like that. So even parents would fall at the feet of these children and they'll say like, we are so fortunate to have a child like this, and you are wanting to become a sadhu. And in the modern days, like everybody will come to fight. What are you doing? Like, just going crazy, right? So in the formerly, the condition in mode of goodness was considered to be like more better, and now mode of passion is considered to be like prestigious. If somebody is in mode of passion, working hard and things like that, whole world will glorify him. But people in mode of goodness, they don't have any value. No, you don't contribute to economic development. You don't contribute to the scientific advancement of the society. And what's the point? Like, no, you exist, not exist, it doesn't matter. Right? So if there is no liberation for those in mode of goodness, what to speak of those who are entangled in the mode of passion? There's no question of liberation for them. They'll have to keep doing this. In text 8, Tamastva Ajnana Jam Vidhi Mohanam Sarvadehinam Pramadalasya Nidrabis Tannibadnati Bharata. O son of Bharata, know that the mode of darkness born of ignorance is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The result of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which binds the conditioned soul. Right? So, primary ingredient, which is making the whole equation of goodness, passion, and ignorance, is ignorance only. Like, if complete ignorance is gone, then what? We are in the transcendental mode. We are in the beyond the modes of nature. Little bit of ignorance is there, that's called mode of goodness. And little more ignorance, that's called mode of passion. And dense ignorance, then that is called like no mode of ignorance only. Whereas like it's the person is completely madness, indolence, and sleep. He'll be like sleeping throughout the day, and like seeing him only, like everybody will get depressed. That's the kind of people who are in mode of ignorance, right? Purport. In this verse, the specific application of the word tu is very significant. This means that the mode of ignorance is a very peculiar qualification of the embodied soul. The mode of ignorance is just the opposite of mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness, by development of knowledge, one can understand what is what, but the mode of ignorance is just the opposite. Everyone under the spell of ignorance becomes mad, and a madman cannot understand what is what. So this is, we can just experience mode of ignorance means what? Like in the night time, like pitch dark, no light is there and things like that, and you have to and imagine that you are in a new place also, right? So it'll be like frustrating, like to move around, how to move, where to move, like where the stuff is there and things like that. So that is exactly a person in mode of ignorance feels. So mode of ignorance, he's also seeing the same entities around us, whatever is there, but he is not able to connect what is what, and like why these things are there, what is the purpose of life. Everything is dark for him, and he's not able to see any value in doing anything. So then he becomes completely depressed, and all the time, like he doesn't see any value of work. If somebody has to work hard, or if somebody has to do some progressive thing, so he should know what is the goal, and he should know like how to attain the goal. And then these are all some basic aspects are required for a person to become enthusiastic. So but if a person is not able to see the goal, and if he's not able to relate with any objects that are there around him and things like that, they're like crazy, they'll go mad. So, and that's what is mode of ignorance. People in mode of ignorance, you just see like a drunkard, no, for him the whole world is rolling around him. And if you ask him like what's the purpose of life, the purpose of life is like just get a bottle and then become full. That's it. And apart from that, there is no purpose exist in the whole world. And sometimes they even go to the extent they don't even know who is there in the family. They just simply go to the home just to snatch some money here and there and just get back to the shop again, right? So it's like complete mode of ignorance. They cannot think of anything else, and it's a helpless condition, as we have seen before. Once we come in touch with the particular mode, so we become conditioned in such a way that we will act in that way, and there is no way that we can change this thing. It requires only external help. Sometimes we may have to come in contact with a better mode, or that's a material solution, or we have to come in contact with a devotee, and the seed of devotional service should be sown in the heart. So then we can actually break open this mode and we can come out, or otherwise we are helpless, we'll just be pushed by the modes of nature. Okay. Instead of making advancement, one becomes degraded. The definition of the mode of ignorance is stated in the Vedic literature. Vastu yatatmya jnana jnana varakam viprayaya jnana jnanakam tamaha. Under the spell of ignorance, one cannot understand thing as it is. For example, everyone can see that his grandfather has died, and therefore he will also die. Man is mortal. Mortal means those who can die, right? The children that he has conceived will also die. So death is sure. Still, people are madly accumulating money and working very hard all day and night, not caring for the eternal spirit. This is madness. In their madness, they are very reluctant to make advancement in spiritual understanding. Such people are very lazy. When they are invited to associate for spiritual understanding, they are not very much interested. They are not even active like a man who is controlled by mode of passion. Thus, another symptom of one embedded in the mode of ignorance is that he sleeps more than is required. 6 hours of sleep is sufficient, but a man in mode of ignorance sleeps at least 10 or 12 hours a day. Such a man appears to be always dejected and is addicted to intoxicants and sleeping. These are the symptoms of a person conditioned by mode of ignorance. So, like Prabhupada also defines here, like what is how many hours we have to sleep. Text 9. Satvam sukhe sanjayati rajak karmani bharata jnanamavritya tu tamaha pramadhe sanjayatyuta. O son of Bharata, the mode of goodness conditions one to happiness, passion conditions one to fruitive action, and ignorance covering one's knowledge binds one to madness. Okay? Purport. A person in the mode of goodness is satisfied by his work of intellectual pursuit, just as a philosopher, scientist, or educator may be engaged in a particular field of knowledge or may be satisfied in that way. A man in mode of passion may be engaged in fruitive activity. He wants as much as he can and spends for good cause. Sometimes he tries to open hospitals, give to charity institutions, etc. These are signs of one in mode of passion. And the mode of ignorance covers knowledge. In the mode of ignorance, whatever one does is good neither for him nor for anyone. You know? So mode of goodness is like, is good. It's very nice. Like, he's thinking about getting out of this material world, and contemplation of that nature is little bit there. But then he may get settled with the happiness over there. In mode of passion, sometimes he does something good, to people, or sometimes he may become very destructive also. All the demons were also in mode of passion. So, and even the philanthropists also, like many people are in mode of passion. So in passion, out of passion, they may do something good, and out of passion, they may destroy also. Both effects are there. And in mode of ignorance, there is no chance of any good for anyone, including himself or for others. There's no chance of any good. It's only bad. That person is okay. Text 10. Rajas tamas cha vibhuya sattvam bhavati bharata rajas sattvam tamaschaiva tamas sattvam rajas tatha. Sometimes the mode of goodness become prominent, defeating the mode of passion and ignorance, O son of Bharata. Sometimes the mode of passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and at other times, ignorance defeats goodness and passion. In this way, there is always competition for supremacy, right? So this is like it's constant fight is going on, tug of war is going on, and more I associate with a particular mode, more I'll become conditioned by that. So generally, people these days, they just put on the TV and then they sit in front of the TV and they don't even know, like they're getting exposed to so many different modes and they're going to get bound by these modes. If they see some serial, one time I had gone to a relative's house where, two ladies, I think mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, something like that, they were like fighting like anything for half an hour, like the whole thing is going on, fighting, fighting, fighting. And I told my relative that, no, it's like you're seeing all these things, you'll get affected by it. And they were saying, no, 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 we are just seeing, like we will not get affected. So it's not possible. Dhyayato vishayan pumsa. The person has to get affected. Whatever we get exposed to in this world, we have to get affected by that. There is no choice that I will get exposed and I will not get affected. There is no choice. It may take a little time, but then every time I associate with mode of ignorance or mode of passion, that is getting inside into my system. And the people in general, they don't do sadhana also. And there in the earth, they are going to become protected from all this thing. Whatever they say, they become conditioned by that. Even if they are in mode of goodness, here we see that sometimes, like ignorance defeats goodness and passion. they get exposed to ignorance, and even if you are good, like it will just push down and he'll become ignorant. No, so that's how it is. Like, but whatever modes we associate with, we develop that mode. Okay, purport. When the mode of passion is prominent, the mode of goodness and ignorance are defeated. When the mode of goodness is prominent, passion and ignorance are defeated. And when the mode of ignorance is prominent, passion and goodness are defeated. This competition is always going on. Therefore, one who is actually intent on advancing in Krishna consciousness has to transcend these three modes. The prominence of some certain mode of nature is manifested in one's dealings, in his activities, in eating, etc. All this will be explained in the later chapters. But if one wants, he can develop by the practice the mode of goodness and thus defeat the mode of ignorance and passion. One can similarly develop the mode of passion and defeat goodness and ignorance. Okay, so here the matter is, one is like we are trying to practice Krishna consciousness, and another aspect is it's very, very important for a sadhaka to get up early in the morning. Like, no, that is the time is in mode of goodness, and eat foodstuffs which are in mode of goodness, and associate with people who are in mode of goodness. So then we will develop, this, because karanam guna sangosya sadasagyo janmashu. So like which kind of modes I associate with, I develop those modes, right? So that's the way of acquiring a particular mode. So in this way, like we see that, sometimes the passion defeats goodness and ignorance, and or one can develop the mode of ignorance and defeat goodness and passion. Although there are these three modes of nature, material nature, if one is determined, he can be blessed by the mode of goodness. And by transcending the mode of goodness, he can be situated in pure goodness, which is called Vasudeva state or Vishuddha Sattva, a state which is a state in which one can understand the science of God. By the manifestation of particular activities, it can be understood in what mode of nature one is situated. So Bhagavad Gita is going to give us the profile in as it is mentioned in the purport in the future chapters. Like Krishna is going to tell what kind of footsteps will be dear to those in mode of goodness, in mode of passion and ignorance, what kind of charity they will do, and what kind of work they will do, what kind of happiness they will get. So all these things are clearly mentioned. By seeing this, by studying these things, and we just see a person's profile. Okay, what is he doing? And just check Bhagavad Gita, like this few set of characteristics, we'll know, okay, which mode is prominent in him. Everybody is like combination of three modes. No, it's no pure goodness, no pure passion, no pure ignorance. Everybody is a combination. Everybody is a unique combination, actually. So, but then we can understand, he likes to some extent, what is the combination that is there, right? So that's profiling. People profiling is given in this very nicely, and we know like which kind of person, what kind of bait you can offer. No, so for a person in mode of goodness, if you say like, if you do this, you'll get a lot of time to study, and then you can contemplate, and you can actually understand a lot of things, and he will become interested in that. And in mode of passion, like you have to tell him that no, okay, you can do this and you can achieve this, and like no, whole world will be yours and things like that. He'll be like really very this one enthusiastic. See, and mode of ignorance, you have to tell like no, just a small thing, no, you just have to do this much only, like nothing more. So then you will do. Right? So he doesn't want to work more. Person in mode of ignorance, right? So like for mode of passion, if you give work, he will become enthusiastic. And mode of ignorance, you have to tell like no, it's small work only, like no, just have to do little bit, and then they'll be enthusiastic. Like that. So okay, text 11. Sarvadvareshu dehesmin prakasha upajayate jnanam yada tada vidyat vivridam sattva. The manifestation of mode of goodness can be experienced when all the gates of the body are illuminated by knowledge. So, purport, there are 9 gates in the body: 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, the mouth, the genitals, and the anus. When every gate is illuminated by the symptoms of goodness, it should be understood that one has developed the mode of goodness. In the mode of goodness, one can see things in the right position, one can hear things in the right position, one can taste things in the right position, one can become cleansed inside and outside. That means like all the bowel movements are good there. So in every gate, there is development of symptoms of happiness, And that is the position of goodness. Okay, text 12. Lobha pravritirarambah karmanam ashamah spruha rajasyetani jayante vivrade paratarshaba. O chief of Bharatas, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, fruitive activity, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desire and hankering develops. Okay. Purport. One in mode of passion is never satisfied with the position he has already acquired. He hankers to increase his position. If he wants to construct a residential house, he tries his best to have a palatial house, as if he would be able to reside in that house eternally. And he develops a great hankering for sense gratification. There is no end to the sense gratification. He always wants to remain with his family and in his house and to continue the process of sense gratification. There is no cessation of this. All these symptoms should be understood as characteristics of the mode of passion. Okay, text 13. Aprakasho pravrituscha pramado moha eva cha tamasyetani jayante vivrade kurunandana. When there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, O son of Kuru, darkness, inertia, madness, and illusion are manifested. Purport. When there is no illumination, knowledge is absent. One is in the mode of ignorance. One in the mode of ignorance does not work by a regulative principle. He wants to act whimsically for no purpose. Even though he has the capacity to work, he makes no endeavor. This is called illusion. Although consciousness is going on, life is inactive. These are the symptoms of one in mode of ignorance. Okay, so we will continue tomorrow, or maybe okay, this is another one also we can have. Yada satte pravridetu pralayam yati dehabrat tadottama vidam lokan amalan pratipadyate. When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains the pure higher planets of the great sages. Okay, so this is another section where the destination has been described. So we will discuss this tomorrow. Right? So we will start from text 14 tomorrow. Hare Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Hare Krishna.